7 years after forever solidifying the Morgan McClure Daytona 500 dynasty, Sterling Marlin was looking to finish his. In his final 2 years in the Kodak Yellow number 4, Marlin would see his chance at the three-peat go up in smoke just 3 laps after taking the lead. That left him 40th in the 1996 Daytona 500, far from where he wanted, which was first. 1997, it would be the Hendrick threesome of Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, and Ricky Craven to leave him still searching for that elusive victory. With Tony Glover moving to Team Sabco for the 1997 season, Sterling Marlin's single-season performance dipped to levels we do not expect from the Tennessee native. It was his first winless season at Morgan McClure, and he finished well outside the top 20 in the driver's standings. Morgan McClure had lost their Cinderella magic, and it was time to scout out a new team as Marlin was still in the prime of his NASCAR Cup career. It's not known whether Glover played a part in his recruitment, but for the 1998 season, Marlin became the full-time driver of Sabco's Coors number 40. Over the next 3 seasons, Buddy Barnes, Corey Scott, and Scott Eggleston tried to make Marlin competitive but came up short, going 3 straight Daytona 500s without finishing in the top 20. It wasn't until Lee McCall took over as the team director to which you saw the Coors Light Silver Bullet keep up with Jarrett and Gordon. In his first speed weeks driving under the Chip Ganassi Racing banner, Marlin made a daredevil-like move below the yellow line on Dale Earnhardt, the intimidator of all drivers in the field, to win his dual race and clinch a 3rd place starting spot in the big race. 3 days later, Marlin's Silver Bullet was in the lead for 39 laps, trailing only the Caterpillar car of Ward Burton, who was out front for 53. That is not the role that most NASCAR fans remember Sterling Marlin playing in the 2001 Great American Race. It just isn't. He is most remembered for making contact with the black number 3 on the final lap, final turn of the race, causing Dale Earnhardt to make head-on contact with the concrete wall. A collision he would not survive. Even as the industry as a whole was still grieving the death of Dale Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin walked through the Daytona Tunnel to begin Speedweeks 2002 in a positive mood. Marlin's dual win and 3rd place finish proved he could compete with the heavyweights at Chevrolet. This injected Marlin with a lot of motivation to become the 5th driver in Daytona 500 history to win 3 or more Harley J. Earl trophies. Such a win would see his name join the likes of the King Richard Petty and his record 7 Daytona 500 championships, South Carolina's own Cale Yarborough, the pioneer of the Alabama gang Bobby Allison, and Dale Jarrett, who completed his trifecta by winning the big race 2 years earlier. All of these men shared one thing in common: they were also NASCAR Cup Series champions. Sterling Marlin had the drive, but did Ganassi have the speed? The team's performance in Daytona 500 pole qualifying had the guys wishing they would have just called for an abortion before they passed the green flag. Jimmy Spencer, also known as the target driver because this is the early 2000s, was slower than both the Carter-Haas drivers sponsored by Kmart. When you get beat twice by your retail rival going bankrupt, that is not a very good NASCAR first impression, especially for a company like Target. Sterling Marlin, the Coors Light driver, would also get clobbered by his rivals, timing in 25th, far from the Lowe's driver Jimmy Johnson's pole-winning time just under 49 seconds. This would line him up 13th in the first Gatorade Twin 125. His journey to the front would be a full-tank effort, squeezing Jeffrey Bodine below the yellow line, one that would hurt the James Finch team's chances of making the race after NASCAR punished the Cherry Red 09 with a double yellow line penalty. The rest of the race, Sterling Marlin's Silver Bullet would cause no wounds, having a quieter dual race than expected with a 6th place finish. Sterling Marlin would officially qualify for his 21st Daytona 500, rolling off from the 13th position, giving the Coors Light team some decent track position for the Superman-style race, fitting into Sterling Marlin's wheelhouse with a race car that just seemed supernatural. Soaring into the top 10 by lap 8. 5 laps later, the Silver Bullet blasted by his former ride, the Kodak Yellow number 4, to crack the top 5. He jumped up all the way to 2nd, tucking in behind M&M's driver Ken Schrader until he made his scheduled green flag pit stop on lap 76. The Coors Light driver was in the lead for all but 2 laps, as his tight condition during that run allowed the UAW Delphi driver Jerry Nadeau to reclaim the lead. Marlin's cool as ice picker made the adjustment necessary to fight the tightness just before a lucky break would help the 40 team in their efforts to win this big race. As the field cycled out from pit stops, Sterling Marlin would restart the race in the 3rd position, behind only the Interstate Batteries driver and the Viagra driver after pit crews for the 18 and 6 respectively beat out car number 40. Track position for Bobby Labonte and Mark Martin that would be short-lived with Super Marlin's fantastic silver bullet. Sterling Marlin would go on to dominate the mid-portion of the race, holding the Robert Yates Fords at bay to where the 28 team, I kid you not, over the radio instructed the Haviland driver Ricky Rudd not to pass the 40, but rather follow the 40 instead. The Coors Light driver doing so successfully even without the Haviland driver in tow. Breaking away with the Viagra driver, Mark Martin, the Budweiser driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was multiple laps down due to issues, and the GM Goodwrench driver Kevin Harvick. A caution by his former ride, however, would eradicate all that hard work and gritty determination. As Wally Dallenbach stated,
how about that pit strategy? Oh, that's going to make it interesting, isn't it? Yep. Oh, man.
Still, one thing remained the same, and that was Sterling Marlin in the lead. His flawless machine on that afternoon created ever-living chaos behind him. The Daytona 500 surface, as a result, being scattered with an undesirable combination of Cheerios, Budweiser, and Pennzoil. For the sake of this race, Sterling Marlin was just too good for the Daytona 500 field that he was already on his way to Miami. Something would need to happen to send the 40 car back up north, and finally, after so long, it would happen.
Always Kurt Busch with a look under Sterling Marlin. The 23-year-old from Las Vegas is going to lead the Daytona 500 at the stripe.
Sterling Marlin lost all of his track position, and for the first time all day, he had to face adversity firsthand. Fortunately, the pack would settle down, leaving the Coors Light driver scored in the 2nd position, tucked in behind the DuPont driver and the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon. It was now just a matter of time and judgment as to when the invincible machine, driven by Sterling Marlin, would make the move to make NASCAR history. There was little doubt he could give the DuPont 24 a run for his money under green, but a caution would put Sterling Marlin in the catbird seat. Nobody was in a better position than Sterling Marlin, as all he had to do was lay back a bit on the initial restart of the race to get a run on Jeff Gordon and make the move to win his 3rd Daytona 500. It was right there. He orchestrated this strategy to perfection, causing yet another mess, this time on the front stretch now scattered with Kellogg's, Napa Auto Parts, and Miller Lite. Marlin, like the silver bullet out of a loaded gun, was charging at the neon yellow 24, a battle that would prove the confetti cannon was no match for the silver bullet. Jeff Gordon spun, and now it was the Caterpillar driver Ward Burton on the charge. In the potential battle for the win, Marlin had the cherry red 09 of Jeffrey Bodine right behind him, who, of course, was not going to help Sterling Marlin, so he had to fend for his life. Ward Burton tried to bulldoze Sterling Marlin's chances, but at the line, Sterling Marlin beat Burton to the start-finish in a Daytona 500 clinching move, should the race not get restarted. NASCAR quickly threw the red flag to ensure the sellout crowd that they would get the full 500 miles they paid and stayed for, making these fans even more rowdy and energetic, still riding the waves of Jeff Gordon spinning out of Daytona 500 contention. This also gave the officials time to review the incident between Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon. The yellow line rule was a hot topic throughout Speed Weeks 2002. Now, it would be laid out in front of a national audience to solve a late race controversy, potentially changing the outcome of the Daytona 500 and NASCAR history. The question was clear-cut. Did Sterling Marlin go below the yellow line to advance his position? Both Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin would agree as NASCAR went into review.
I didn't have a choice but to slow down there, and he had a run on me and I blocked him, got myself turned.
Sterling, were you below the yellow line when you passed Gordon? He run me down there. My left side was below the police. He run me down below it.
The official call for NASCAR would mirror just that. Sterling Marlin would not be penalized for going below the yellow line, though the controversy regarding the Coors Light driver would continue. The contact between he and Gordon caused a right front tire rub on Marlin's car, and with a worry of the tire cutting, this would lead Sterling Marlin to his Daytona 500 kryptonite, and a moment forever remembered by every NASCAR driver who raced past 2002 of what not to do on the racetrack.
Front damage looks. The car, Sterling Marlin is jumping out of his car. He's going around to look at the right front fender. But, oh, he can't do that.
You can't work on your car under the red flag. That's the NASCAR rule.
Pull it off a little bit.
You're not allowed to work on your car under the red flag.
This action flew directly in the face of Rule 10-5 in the NASCAR rulebook, which states repairs or service of any nature or refueling will not be permitted when the race is halted due to a red flag. That rule even applies to drivers, meaning Sterling Marlin would be exiled to the tail end of the longest line. Lee McCall would get the chance to pull out the right front fender and get some fresh tires, which is basically a getting out of jail free card as all the land is bought and put into action into Monopoly, so it was pretty much a useless move. The fast silver bullet, one that led a race high 78 laps, would settle for an 8th place finish. Marlin would joke about his self-inflicting incident post-race, stating he'd seen that action done before by an all-too-familiar driver.
Well, I seen Earnhardt doing it at Richmond one time, so I cleaned his windshield off, so I thought it was okay. I don't guess it was.
Team manager Tony Glover also clarified the plan, penalty or not, was to have Marlin pit after the contact with the right front fender. We couldn't take that chance and put him and everyone else in danger. We were going to have to come in one way or the other, so we had Sterling jump out and check out the damage during the red flag. As Father Time played his magnificent card, this would be Sterling Marlin's last great chance at the Daytona 500. He would earn top 10s in 2003 and 2004, but didn't have the car capable of winning. In 2008, ironically driving for the James Finch 09 team, Marlin failed to qualify, which served as his last attempt at the great spectacle known as the Daytona 500. Marlin never got to win a third Daytona 500. In the meantime, 2 NASCAR drivers since have achieved the feat of winning their third Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon after his victory in the 2005 running, and Denny Hamlin after his chaotic, thrilling win in the 2020 running to make him a 3-time Daytona 500 champion. And as new drivers continue to join that iconic list, losing the 2002 Daytona 500 will be even more heartbreaking for Sterling Marlin and the devoted fan base that cheered him on for years. So anyways, this is Nathan for NRF Productions signing out, and just remember guys and gals, life's a beach and then you drive.